I don't know. Hey guys, today we're going to be doing the explanation video on this beautiful door that we've got right here. I did a tutorial on it quite a while ago, and now we're doing the explanation, in which I am joined by Johnny.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing the tutorial on the
Not tutorial,
404 Stargate. It is not the
explanation.
smallest anymore.
No,
Explanation, yeah.
still small, still pretty small though.
Explanation on this. It's not smallest, second smallest, but smallest
Yeah,
non-locational, so it will work everywhere.
yeah. It's decently quick as well.
So we've broken the door down into three sections: the bottom, the top, and the sides.
Yep.
And yeah, we didn't see a way that doing both sides would be useful, so we just did one. As
Yeah,
they're
because
exactly the
they're
same.
both they're exactly the same. And unlike the tutorial, this one is actually color-coded, so we can look at all the different separate bits, and you can follow along pretty easily. So yeah,
Yeah, so in the door, the sides are the pink circuits.
yeah.
So right here, this is what it does, I guess. So
Mm.
we'll push forward, therefore leaving it seamless, and then opening.
Yeah, because its sides are pretty simple. So I guess explaining these first wouldn't really. It would kind of make sense.
Yeah, so let's do this first then.
So as you can see from the top, we got the inputs going into this block. That's the same on each side, the same timing exactly. So it inputs to this block, which pushes down this piston and this piston.
And all these pistons are regular pistons.
Yeah.
And those two are sticky pistons.
Yeah, because if
So
these were sticky pistons, then timings would go a bit weird.
because this is a regular piston, when this will push down, it doesn't retract anything. And then one tick later, this piston will push down and will power all of this dust, these three dusts right here.
Strongly, because we got a
have an unstackable item in the furnace, and the comparator powering all of it. So as you can see, all that will do is push this forward, therefore closing the door.
Yeah, so it'll close that forward and it'll power these 4-tick repeaters. And yeah, it kind of like buds these pistons here.
Yeah, so these are already powered. So when we unpower, these will depower, but these will still be powered. So this will pulse, because it will power then unpower as this turns off.
It'll get updated by,
as you will see when I get this.
Yeah.
And what will happen is these 4 ticks will power the piston when it is here through the block.
Which is going to be there.
Because the block gets pushed over, powered by the 4 ticks, one ticking it backwards.
And then
a few ticks later, this piston will push across the redstone block, pushing that back up, and pushing everything across to make it seamless again.
Yeah, because this is bud powered as well. It just gets updated by this repeater at the right time, pushing this up, and then the block retracts, meaning it's back into the state where
that's budded.
Yeah,
so
this is budded now.
Updates it.
Yeah, through this piston.
Otherwise, it would not. So if we got rid of that 2 tick, it wouldn't update.
Yeah.
It would just retract. Oh, what?
Yeah, it doesn't work when you do it that way.
Oh, I thought it worked for a second. Alright, yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, so that's the side basically.
So that's mirrored on both sides, as you can see right here. So I guess that's the sides, and the way that it goes into the bottom is, you can see right here we have the piston here and the piston here. This is exactly the same piston.
That's on both sides.
So this is where the side would be, right here, and then this piston would be right here.
Yeah, with the updater there. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
It works really nicely with how the bottom worked.
Yeah, and a good thing to note is, off of the inputs, these sides are actually in sync, meaning the inputs to the bottom on each side is also in sync, which made it insanely easy to get working.
Yeah, as you can see, the sides are exactly in sync.
Yeah.
Which made the bottom a lot easier. But it really was not easy at all.
Well,
so I guess basically we should explain the bottom next.
Yeah. Okay, so the closing circuit, the big bulk of it, so it's all the green. All the green is the closing. The bulk of it is on this side, which is actually an ingenious circuit which Jonny came up with. And then on each side to control the storage and when to push these glass blocks into place is the same on both sides here.
Well, yes. So with the closing circuit, oh, where to start? So this right here, we have is a dual edge.
Yeah.
So this will pull back and then push forward again. Actually, let's show it over here.
Yeah.
So you have the piston and a torch underneath.
So it's just a fancy, like 3x3 mechanism on a stable.
Oh, what did I do? Like this. So as you can see, when it gets powered, it gets pulsed and then turned on again. Then retracted, it just turns off.
Yeah.
So watch, it turns on, off, on, and then off.
So it's just a fancy little 3x3 mech.
And that is just wired up to these pistons. So what happens is it pushes up that glass, and then in the correct timings, those both get powered. And because it repowers again, that will push up, therefore doing the closing.
Yeah.
And then
note that actually there's a little more to it. So when it's like this line will actually get powered just a little bit early. So you noticed how fast it was over there. This gets powered a little too early, whilst these blocks are getting pushed into place. So they're actually budded down. They don't actually update. So what we've got over here is as you're pushing the storage.
A really long updater right here.
Yeah, you got this gets powered from that dust there, which then updates this piston, which is actually budded by the block here, powered by the line.
So let's just get rid of that piston and show what will happen. So it gets powered a bit too early. So this piston is actually getting budded by that block. So if we place that there, it'll update into the closing.
Note that this actually gives a zero bud update, which is really cool.
So yeah, that's the closing.
Yeah.
And then on this side we have a bit more tricky things. So the 4 tick in here is just to power that at the correct timing. And then this will bud this piston, which
ready for the storage.
Yeah, so that will go like that, and then once it's closed and this retracts down, it pulls out like that.
Ready for the double and triple.
The blocks are like this. And then it goes double, and then we need to do the sides, and then triple. And then it'll place back in afterwards.
So the way that we've got this working is simply this is from the closing, and then at the right time these retract. So that's the storage. So now what we need to do is extend the double. So we're going to start off by powering the bottom pistons, and we're going to one-tick it for a specific reason, and that is the only point in which the pistons actually need to be down like this is when this pulling the blocks into storage. After that, you can actually just one-tick these pistons here, and this is at storage level, so you can actually pull up the blocks that are here. They go into storage. Yeah, these go into storage here, like so.
And then it's just like a double.
Basically.
But yeah, then that just retracts down. Storage is pushed into there.
Yeah. So first thing we did was, of course, one-tick the bottom pistons. So the way we do that is off of the closing circuit. We actually just take a pulse, well, not a pulse, a signal from here into a monostable here, which then one-ticks this bottom line here.
And it automatically will go up to this line to pull down the first blocks.
Yeah.
So that's that first block pulled down, but then we need to pull it into the storage at the sides. So the side storage is the grey circuit, and it is actually different on both sides.
Yeah.
So, alright, let's try and explain this side first. So over here what we have is, this is a falling edge monostable, because when the redstone block is... So wait, let's just open it, easier to explain. Now, well, because the redstone block is right here, and this dust is here, if this dust gets powered, it will not push up on that edge, because this redstone block is here.
It's already been powered.
Yeah, so instantly this will push over here, and this will not give a monostable. But then when this turns off, the redstone block will pull here and power it, which therefore gives it a monostable.
Gives a pulse into that vortex over there.
And yeah.
Then
the
this will
turn off this comparator, and this has just any regular item in it. And these are both slabs because of the this would create the burnout here, and this would not travel upwards, and we can't place it down one more because then the monostable would give a pulse into this line.
Yeah, which we don't want.
No.
So this grey bit here, this is a little circuit that I came up with, and it does the storage pretty well actually. So if I just get some stuff to do this, because it's actually very low on resources.
It's like that. Is that it?
Yeah, like that, and then that, and then you just power the bottom. So all this does is it was extend like that, retract like that.
So
now this can be a torch. Here. Yeah. So when it's like this, what'll happen is you depower this, which pulls this block back, which then powers this block through this torch, and then 2 ticks later this one, and this updates it. So, and then opposite, since this is extended, it's unmovable, which means that when you turn it on, it'll bud power this, but it can't extend because the block's here. And then it'll depower this one first, then this 2 tick here will depower this, so this will have retracted, leaving the block here.
This piston will update this piston as it is budded by this getting powered, and will extend it like so.
Yeah, note this can actually be a torch, but there's a few implications. That makes this slower, but also it means that when you're messing around with pistons at this level, it makes it a bit more difficult, so we went with the piston here.
So, also on the other side we have exactly the same, but we have a different way to input to it.
Yes.
Because on this side, all we have is the redstone block pushing, exactly the same as this side, apart from missing this one wide closing circuit right there. So it powers this storage and this storage.
Yep.
So that will just help with the closing. And all we have right here is
a dropper hopper here.
Yeah, we just have a dropper hopper, and we're taking an output out of the dropper, sorry.
Yeah.
And then 2 ticks later and into another dropper hopper, just to add the right delays.
Yeah. See, if we had a block here to give the power, then it would simply it would power this piston, which we don't want, and also it wouldn't have enough delay. So yeah, that's how we decided to do it.
So that is up to the double, then all that's left is the triple. So it's up to there right now. All we need is the triple, which is using the rest of this side over here.
And a little bit of this side. So at this point, the pistons down here are in a state like... So it's just done 1 tick there like that, 1 tick there, and then pulled the blocks in. So we need to pulse these, pull them down, push the blocks into place, and power them. And then...
Same thing over again.
And then, we just do the same thing to retract it. So first thing we need to do is power the pistons with this dust here. So the way we do that is, off of the storage, we have this torch here.
With this torch, we'll power the piston in there.
Yeah, so we got a piston here, just like that.
Is indeed on a falling edge, which will give a pulse into
it's a dual edge, but there's a repeater over here coming through the monostable that kind of like locks.
Will lock it on the first pulse, then the second pulse it will go through because this is not locking it. So if you power the door, I can just show this off, I guess.
Okay.
And then on the opening, as you can see, that will lock it, and then second time it will go through.
Yeah.
So
So that's what that is. That's like a dual edge off of the storage, which is pretty cool. We use the same kind of concept on the other side.
So basically that repeater will just go into that dust, which powers the two
Push,
pistons that are right there.
and that puts the pistons up to this level.
Which is
like
where
that.
we need them.
Let's grab these blocks.
Because
So
what we have is from this dust, we have a repeater going here, and a repeater coming around here to do this storage right here. So this will automatically push this storage into here right now. So
yeah,
this is how it looks for the door at this point.
yeah,
So
and
what
then
we will need to do is just power this line, because it will pull down those pistons like so, and then automatically power the top line because of these two repeaters to pull down that.
yeah, and then after that, you'll see we need to actually pull the blocks back into place. So that's where these two repeaters come in. So again, once off the storage, we have two repeaters which go into these two pistons here,
which adds delay to it, which allows it to retract. And then all we need to do is pulse that line.
Yeah, there's a specific way in which we do it to avoid that.
Yeah, so this will not turn off if we send a 1 tick into it. I was sending a half tick, so if we send a 1 tick into it, it should do that, and then again, it'll go like that. Then all we need to do to finish off the door is to pulse that dust again. So yeah.
So
that's
we need
the rest of the movements.
Yeah, so basically, you know when we had the repeater going through here and it powered these pistons at this level and then the storage, we just need to do that again because what happens is we got them here and we've got the blocks here. Sorry, like this. So we just need to power the dust down there, which then pulls them blocks down,
then
go round
here and pushes them into storage.
So as Jonny was demonstrating with the triple, we need 3 pulses to do the entire triple, and then we need to power that dust. So would you like to explain how we did that?
Sure thing. So once again, we take a torch off of here into a piston. Yep. And that piston will have a redstone block on the end and go into these 4 dusts. Yep. But we have a torch burnout right here. So once this dust will turn off, the torch burnout will start clocking and doing its thing.
So it's basically a falling edge burnout.
And therefore, having a 3 tick right there will give us 3 pulses that we need.
Yeah.
So this is how it works here. 1, 2, 3. And so the redstone block goes there, doesn't power it, then falling edge. 1, 2, 3. And that's just used for getting the 3 pulses into here. Which is used for the triple.
So that's the triple now done. Now all we need is the power to this dust.
The last pulse.
Which is where the other side of these dusts come in. So it goes through this 4 tick, which does not turn off until the burnout's finished. Which then goes through to a dust over there, which actually powers this comparator. So this turns off, and then when it turns back on...
So the dust will turn off the comparator, turns back on.
Yeah, so when it turns back on, it will go through there.
A few ticks later, goes into the 1 tick, and sends a 1 tick into here, which we showed. We'll do the last retraction, and then pulse this
dust. Which is...
Also, as you explained with the 4 tick, that won't turn off until the burnout is finished.
Yeah.
I thought I might as well show this off here.
Yeah.
Because
it's kind of weird how it works.
The problem...
Yeah. So you see?
We had a problem with having it on, I think we had it on 3 ticks.
Yeah.
And it would keep pulsing.
Yeah.
So if we had it on 4 ticks, it would only turn off once the burnout was finished.
And I think it's the same with 2 ticks, I think it is. So it's like even versus
it's the same with 2 ticks, but that wasn't enough delay for us.
Yeah. So if you have an even amount, it doesn't turn off, and if you have an odd amount, it does, and it gives a certain amount of pulses.
It was 1 tick as well.
Yeah.
Which is just insane.
Yeah.
So that's the whole bottom done.
I think so. Yeah. Right. Hey guys, we're back now, and we're going to hopefully explain the top of the Stargate.
This may be quite a mission, as there are a lot of things going on at the top at the same time, so...
And yeah, it uses a few interesting ways of powering things.
Yeah, quite a lot.
So I guess the start would be the inputs. So this is the inputs to the entire door. So the first thing we need to do is pulse these pistons again on the closing. So the way we do that is with this 1.5 tick monostable. So basically we just power this redstone, so it powers here, and then this piston extends and cuts it off. And then that goes through the comparator. And the reason this is comparator is to just redirect this redstone here.
And that's also, it also looks a bit weird having the comparator here, so that's one thing that I didn't really like about it.
But, you know, it works. So yeah, this would basically power all this dust here for 1.5 ticks, so that'll power this comparator and this repeater, which powers both these pistons for, you know,
so
more than a
tick.
tick. Yeah,
well,
2 tick.
1.5, which is the same as a 2 tick basically, so that will push it down like that.
Yeah.
Now the next thing to do would be to power that piston and that piston. So the way we did that is just get pulse off of here. We had a 1 tick, then a 3 tick on this side, then I think we had a dust and a 4 tick on here.
Yep, dust and a 4 tick, yeah.
So which is both 4 ticks of delay, which will push it like that.
Yep. And then we need to just power this again to push them pistons.
I think it was you that added this. Having the torch and the piston and the redstone block. Adds a bit of delay, adding the 1 and 2 tick as well, which goes into the block because that is there.
Yep.
Allowing us to refire this, and then we have
the
tripwire in here to redirect so it doesn't keep on clocking into that torch.
Yeah, because if this stays on, then that's just going to power the input, and it's going to stay powered off of itself, meaning you won't be able to turn it off, basically.
So that's the whole closing, is the red circuit.
Yeah, so if we actually just close it.
Yes.
Oh, crud, I just broke a barrier. Yeah. Where would that be? Maybe there.
Did you... Alright, do you want me to place a rail on it?
I've got it. Right.
So this is basically an action, as you can see.
And
this is powering through here.
Yeah, and as I said, it goes through to the side, powering both the sides at the same delay.
Also, an additional extra that we added was we had a torch and a torch here into piston, a cauldron, and this. This is taken out
2
1
levels.
water, so it gives 2 length.
So it only powers this one, and this one.
And we had a problem with this being a repeater. So what we had to do was we had to put this on subtract mode and this one here to make sure that when this was powering it with a 1 signal, that it would not go through. So we just put a regular item into here, pairing it. So because 1 minus 1 is
this cauldron.
0.
Yeah, so this cauldron literally just powers these 2 pistons here. That's all it does.
So that will help with the retraction of these blocks, like we said on the bottom, where we had these repeaters here powering this.
Yeah.
So we are now in the state of doing the double and the triple.
Right, so the way this works is when you turn it off, instantly this piston gets retracted. That's what I like about it, is it's instantly, instead of having this delay around it, it does turn off a bit quicker. So this would take away the strong signal from this line. It's still powered with this here, but the strong signal it doesn't reach this,
which turns off this dust and this repeater, which go into the sides, which go into the bottom. And
so what this will do is it'll turn off these pistons here, and it'll turn off the sides as well. And then at a delay, it'll go up this torch tower, retracting this, pulling the storage in.
Yes, at 3 ticks of delay.
Yeah. So that'll pull the blocks in, and then it'll put it into a space where it can actually start the double and triple. And also it'll pull the blocks to here, so that the storage can actually start working as well.
As well as that, the piston is also used for the last pulse of putting the storage back by two-ticking it through here.
That comes in later because that's a little complicated piece here, which I'll explain in a bit.
Let's start with this side.
Okay, so everything kicks off with this piston once again.
So what I added was I put in 2 single monostables into here.
Yeah. So when this block comes here, what will happen is it'll update everything in the y-axis first, which is this redstone, and then it'll update the pistons. So this redstone will actually power these 2 repeaters before the blocks start moving.
Right here we will get a 1-tick monostable, and here we will get a 4-tick.
Yeah. This one is to start the double, and this one will go through to the storage, which I'll explain. We'll do the double first, and then we'll show you how the storage works.
Yes. So the 1-tick right here is used to go into the dust, 4-tick, and down into this little bit here. And
this is a circuit Jonny. I think Jonny came up with it.
Yes.
Wait, was it you and Flobber in the old design?
No, this is a different one because we had a smaller one in the other one, but we had to change it because of how the way the door works. Oh gosh.
So, taking the advantage of sand right here. Yeah. So if we just put we just do that. So we just rebuilt pretty much the same circuit here. And if we put a 4-tick here with an input, so what you'll see is if we have blocks down here, let's get some relevant blocks. So if we've got blocks down here like this, and we 4-tick this, you'll see it.
That does the whole double.
Yeah, that does the entire double. And this comes in handy with the triple as well, which we'll explain in a sec. So the way this works is it goes into here, into these 3 ticks.
Precise timings, basically.
Yeah. So what it'll do is it'll power these.
Then half a tick later, it will 1-tick these.
Due to this turning off. And because it's sand, it'll produce a 1-tick.
And then all we do is, after 3 ticks, it'll just retract these back up. And that does the whole double, as you can see right here.
Yeah. Which is a really neat little circuit.
So, yeah, that is the double.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk storage.
Okay, so
the orange circuits are the storage on the top.
Yep.
Do you want to start off by explaining one of the sides?
Yeah, sure. I think it's a little bit hard to see. So it's the same basic principle as the bottom storage, except it's like this. So the bottom storage, the storage would be like this, but on this one it's vertical instead of horizontal. So it would have the double like this, and then the block it needs to grab would be here. So the way we do it is we have a redstone block here, which is with a piston, like this. And then we would have a piston here, which would, basically it would power this thing here. But it does it in a bit of a different way. So, should we just show you that? So we would have slabs here and here, because we don't want it to bud power the things.
Yes.
So the way this would work is it would...
Also, we had a rail here.
Yeah, that's to update on when it's retracting. So what it would do is, first of all, it would it would extend, retracting this piston here.
And this piston here.
Yeah, and this piston, and then once this is retracted, which will be perfect timings for this to extend, is it will give a signal for this to extend from this comparator here, and then this will be pushed into a bud power state here, so it'll be pushed into bud, which means it'll extend, and then when you retract this, it will it'll update this piston via this rail to turn off, and then this will turn off once this is retracted, which is 1.5 ticks later. So that'll start retracting, which means that retracts, and then later this extends, pulling back this piston, like so.
And all that happens is we need to update this piston to finish it off.
Which actually,
I would like to add that right here, this is pretty much as fast as you can retract a double.
Yeah.
As this is 1.5 ticks later.
Yeah, this is pretty much as fast as it gets.
Well, apart from the updating, that is.
Except for the updating. Yeah.
The update for this side was actually the last thing we did in the door.
Yeah, it was.
And
it was kind of difficult.
This side is exactly the same for the storage.
Yeah.
Just powered by this 4-tick and then this 4-tick into that piston, which is the one with the redstone block. And
yeah, so this is the piston that was pushing the redstone block.
And on this side, this is the piston that's pushing the redstone block. And the way that we power that is via this torch right here going into the monostable produced by the dropper hopper. And
which is
there is indeed a comparator in there.
Yeah.
Powering another dropper hopper, having a comparator behind that again.
Which powers this block, powering that one. So that one's a little weird, the way that we did that.
That took quite a while.
Yeah.
So right now we're just in the state of doing the triple.
Yeah. So the blocks are there, the pistons are here.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No.
No, they're not. Never mind. I don't know. Okay, so when we power the double, there's actually a clock mechanism which I actually mentioned. And the way it works is we have off each of the doubles, we have a pulse going around here, which goes up into the top part of the circuit. And that just clocks around. So I'll explain that a bit more. So when we get the 1 tick from the bottom here, that goes through to here, which messes with this toggle, which I'll talk about later. We'll do the clock first, and then we'll talk about the toggle. So that'll go up here, which will depower this piston for 2 ticks, which will produce a 1 tick here on these redstone. And then this will go through here, power this piston, and then it will go through here and power this piston.
So that will push that down for the triple. And also, this here is for the last pulse, but it is locked right here, so it doesn't do that.
So this is 2 ticks, that's 4 ticks in total, and then we got 2 ticks here and 2 ticks here. So we got 4. So that will always
lock off so long as it goes through here.
Yeah. So whenever there's a pulse here and it gets through to here, this will not fire. But whenever there's a pulse here, but it doesn't go through to here due to this,
is locked by here,
then it can pass through here, giving a 2 tick, which will give the last pulse.
So carrying on with the clock we have, so it will go around to here.
So as I said,
Oops. Sorry.
I was going to talk about your stick. Oh crap! /set. Oh, I can't even type.
Oh gosh, that's right.
Right. Right. I'll explain why Jonny's circuit was so helpful. So it was like this, I believe. So we've got a 3 tick, 3 tick, that. Oh, we're just rebuilding the same stuff.
Pretty much.
Sand, torch. Let's get a redstone block and a dust. Right. So what we've got here. So what we would do is we would power the top pistons, as I said. So this goes through here and it powers both the top pistons like that.
Then all you do is fire the double, and it actually does another double.
Yep, like that.
What happens is we pull it up again and fire the double again.
So all we actually have to do.
Triple.
Yeah, that does the entire triple. So what we would do is we power the top pistons, and then we would power the double circuit, and we would need to do that twice, and that would do the entire triple. So the way we did that is, of course, it clocks around here, as I said, through here, and then after it's powered the top pistons, it goes through to here into a 4 tick, which powers the double circuit again. And then that would
keep on clocking. And the way that we stopped it clocking, because we needed to fire 2 out of 3 times. So the way we stopped it clocking was with this right here. So the first thing that would happen is in the double circuit, it would go around here, and it will pull down that block right there, so that when this pulse goes through, this won't do anything to here.
Yep.
And actually, this pulling back doesn't affect this at all.
Yeah, because it's such a short amount of time.
Yes. So the only thing that affects it is this piston. So what will go around, it will go like this, and then fire the double. So can we just... yeah. So if we fired the double, it would pull those up to there.
Yep, and then the pulse would go around again.
Go around again, pushing that up, going like that, and firing the double again, which would actually finish the trickle, but we didn't want it to go again. But because of the correct delays right here, it will actually lock this at the exactly correct time to stop it clocking around again.
So that would break the circuit.
And as we explained earlier, if there is nothing going through here, then it'll do the last pulse with the 2-tick going through here,
which would push the storage.
Which finishes off the top.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much the whole door explanation. Here's just the whole door working.
Again,
because it's just so good. no, I'm joking.
Oh, should I mention something that Jonny got really aggravated with later, after we finished the door?
What?
the cauldron, Jonny. The cauldron.
Oh gosh, no. Don't. Just please don't.
I won't. But yeah,
so basically we had a problem with the cauldron, and we could fix it.
So you see this, how we had a problem with this comparator. We had a problem with it being a repeater, so we did this with the comparator, and that used up quite a bit of space, right? Later on, Jonny realised we could actually take one out of this, so it only has one signal strength, only powering this.
Still power this,
but it would still power both of them.
Which means that we could change all of this to be all symmetrical.
Yeah.
My OCD is just out the window.
But it's fine now. It works.
That's one reason why I like the sides and bottom, close to symmetrical.
Yeah, they're pretty okay. But yeah, I hope we explained that well. I'm not sure if we did. But yeah.